Incident had occurred. When I reached the spot, I saw debris scattered here. There was a fire and smoke was billowing here. Nothing was visible. We then came to know that the wings of the aircraft fell here and that an aircraft crashed. We don't know about the casualties, but there is a building here where doctors reside. And that's the building that we were talking about, viewers, out of which is sticking out the tail of the plane in a rather ominous way. Now let's play out some eyewitness depositions.
यहीं मेरे ऑफिस में बैठी थी, जैसा धड़ाका हुआ मैं वहाँ ऑफिस से वहाँ गई। बहुत बड़ा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था, तो बहुत धुआं और आग लगी थी। जो डॉक्टर्स के फ्लैट थे उनको बहुत डैमेज हुए हैं और उसमें से कितने डॉक्टरों को हमने निकाला है, लोकल कार्यकर्ता और सब मिलके। बाद में जो प्लेन में से निकाले हैं वो लोग भी बहुत
बड़ी दुखद दुर्घटना,
बहुत
कितने लोगों की मौत कुछ
अभी कोई अंदाजा नहीं लग रहा है। रहने वालों को भी बहुत नुकसान हुआ है। हमारी बहन जा रही थी लंदन,
1 बजे जा रही थी प्लेन,
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
मेरी साड़ी था वो खम्बीसर थी और लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ फिर
बस वो 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया तो प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए सील में आ गया। अभी कुछ भी समाचार नहीं मिला है।
यहाँ पे जो ऑफिस से बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज़ जोर से आवाज़ आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया। लोग यहाँ से भगदड़ मची। उसके बाद आके ये देख रहे थे ये हादसा की स्थिति है।
अच्छा, तो आप यहाँ पर पहले आए तो आपने क्या देखा?
आए पे आने के बाद देखा कि पूरा मलबा बिखरा हुआ, आग लगी है, पूरा धुआं गुब्बारा है, कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा, समझ में नहीं आ पा रहा था क्या है। हाँ, उसके बाद पता चला कि ये विंग्स गिरा हुआ है, फ्लाइट वो किया और फिर प्रशासन ने चारों तरफ से घेर लिया।
से आए कितने बजे हुआ तकरीबन ये हादसा, कुछ समय
लगभग 45 मिनट पहले हादसा हुआ।
Viewers, everyone expressing shock and pretty much confirming the sequence of events there. The plane takes off within a minute. It's down. It crashes into a building that houses a number of doctors because it is part of a medical establishment. In fact, the building was the cafeteria. You can see the pictures on the left of the plane. Tail of the plane that is sticking out of the top of that building, the roof section of the building. Below, those are the pictures from within the building. A lot of material there reduced to dust, burnt to smithereens. Anvinit is with us. We're also being told that Jamie Ray Meek, a British citizen listed as a passenger on Air India flight 171, reportedly shot a final Instagram short story just before takeoff, and that remains his final testament to the world. Very, very, very sad situation. Passengers from across the world on this flight, remember, there were Canadians, there were British nationals, more than 50 British nationals, 169 Indian nationals, a number of Canadian nationals. The US government also putting out a statement, not just in sympathy, but also calling upon its citizens to check with the consulate there to ensure that they can make their way back home. Let me go across to Anvit. Anvit, what's the latest you have for us?
Rahul, what we are getting from ground is that the death toll has already crossed 140 and 150, and this is what the sources on ground are telling us. And among the passengers, the 242 passengers that were on board, Air India has also confirmed that there were 169 of them were Indian nationals, while 53 were British nationals. There also was 1 Canadian national on board and 7 Portuguese nationals were there. The injured have certainly been taken to hospitals, but death toll is likely to rise. And from those who were on board the aircraft, it is almost confirmed. There's no official word though, but chances of survivors are really bleak in this incident. As we have also seen the visuals from ground, a number of locals had gathered on spot, and it is also one reason because the area was heavily populated one. That is also one reason that there will certainly be fatalities from ground as well. The building that was hit by the plane, that is a doctor's hostel. Many of the occupants of the building have also been rushed to medical facilities, and there certain deaths have also been reported. The exact numbers are not still out. but it is expected that agencies certainly will be putting out the number soon. The police is expected to give out the number soon, but so far, even now, hours after the incident, focus is on rescue, because many people who are under the debris, who are in the building, they are being taken out. They are all being rushed to medical facilities, and soon we'll get the numbers also as to how many have been injured and what are the exact number of fatalities. But what we are learning is that out of 242 people, which includes 2 pilots and 10 cabin crew, number of survivors who were on that plane is really bleak to be.
Well, hoping against hope, praying that we get some good news, viewers. What a terrible tragedy to grip the nation. Shocked, many people shocked. Reactions coming from across the world, from pretty much every global leader commiserating with the Indian authorities, with the Indian government and the people of our country. Let me go across to Payal. Payal, what can you tell us about the news that you're receiving on the investigative front? We know that Civil Aviation Minister and the DGCA Chief and Civil Aviation Secretary are being rushed to Ahmedabad. They're going to probably meet there. There's going to be a forensic inquiry and a probe into all of this. But what are you hearing from government sources?
Well, as far as the government is concerned, Rahul, one thing is for sure that it will be a thorough investigation which will be done, because this also involves the unfortunate demise of foreign citizens, and therefore the government of India is extremely sure that there will be no lackluster, attitude at all as far as this is concerned. And therefore, all the investigating agencies concerning this have been lost to the spot. We'll have to just wait and see how this forensic investigation and other investigation will really follow. And therefore, Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu is expected to arrive in Ahmedabad anytime now. Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, who is also the son of the soil, is also reaching Ahmedabad very shortly. And, all the NDRF and other teams are already there in Ahmedabad and helping with the rescue and relief operation. And another flight has taken off from Delhi to Ahmedabad. It consists of officials from the DGCA, consists of the Civil Aviation Secretary also, and Minister Mahal, who is the Minister of State for Civil Aviation. The government of India has assured not just the people over here, but also to all the foreign nationals and their countries that a thorough investigation really will be done. It's very difficult at this point in time to point a finger at anybody in particular, given the fact that this is a modernized equipment, it's a modernized flight that had actually taken off from Ahmedabad. And therefore, all efforts will be made sure that we get to the bottom of it as well.
Right.
And there is something that the government of India has assured.
Well, of course, premature, viewers, to even speculate about the reasons. It's too early in the day to do that. But clearly, there was something very, very wrong that led to this unprecedented tragedy. No Dreamliner has crashed, especially of the 787 Boeing variety, anywhere in the world. India is the first place where this has happened. So obviously, viewers, there's going to be a lot of dismay, and there will also be a huge focus. Muralidhar Mohol, who is the Minister of State for Civil Aviation and Cooperation at the centre, has also spoken on this issue. Hardeep Singh Puri has also spoken on this issue. Let's go straight across to some reactions that we're playing out now.
कुछ समय पहले दोपहर को एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना घटी है। एयर इंडिया का AI-171 जो अहमदाबाद से लंदन जाने वाला जो फ्लाइट था वो क्रैश हो गया है। उसमें कुल 242 लोग थे, 230 पैसेंजर थे और 12 क्रू मेंबर्स थे। तो वहाँ पे अभी सब राहत का कार्य शुरू है, बचाव का कार्य वहाँ पे शुरू है। हमारे मिनिस्ट्री में भी अभी हमने एक वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों की एक बैठक भी करी है। जांच तो शुरू है, वरिष्ठ लेवल पे हमारी मीटिंग भी अभी यहाँ पे हुई है और वहाँ पे अभी इमरजेंसी में जो बचाव राहत का कार्य चल रहा है उस पर चर्चा हुई है। अभी किसी बात पर बोलना, यानी कि कितनी कैजुअल्टी हुई, क्या हुआ, तो उस पर थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
There's a plane crash. Ahmedabad to London flight sigi. ਸਵੇਰੇ 8 ਵਜੇ ਦਾ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਐਂਡ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ there's an accident but ਹੁਣ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਖਬਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਰਥਨਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨੇ all those who were on board should be all right and we should await the news. I don't think one should speculate on that.
बहुत दुख की बात है,
कैजुअल्टी कंफर्म नहीं बट
बहुत दुख की बात है कि एयर इंडिया का एयरक्राफ्ट क्रैश हुआ है और जब एयरक्राफ्ट क्रैश होता है तो घटना बहुत बड़ी होती है। इसलिए इस समय पर इतनी जानकारी मिली है तो हमारी अपील यही होगी सरकार से, हालांकि सरकार खुद कोशिश कर रही होगी कि सभी यात्रियों को बचाएं, सुरक्षित पहुंचाएं और उनका इलाज हो। और हमारी भगवान से ये प्रार्थना है कि अगर इतना बड़ा एक्सीडेंट हुआ है तो किसी की जान न गई हो और हमारे पायलट भी सुरक्षित रहे हो।
Viewer statement coming out from Boeing. Boeing is saying that we're aware of initial reports and are working to gather more information. Remember, real-time information is relayed always from the plane to the manufacturer and it is kept and located at a particular center. So real-time information will be available to them. Of course, they would also be wanting to look at the crash footage. They will also be looking at the black... Anvit is there with us. Yes, so the black box is very, very important. Do we have any idea about whether the black box has been recovered as yet, Anvit? What are you learning?
See, right now the operations on ground are focusing on rescue and evacuation, and all the passengers who were on the plane as well as the casualties that have happened on ground, they need to be evacuated and taken to medical facilities. Even the bodies, the charred bodies that we've seen visuals, they need to be moved to mortuaries and PM will be conducted, and those formalities need to be done, and only after that, see, AIB teams are already on ground, and there will be DGCA officials are also already there, and they are looking into parallel investigations or have also begun into the cause of the probable cause of this crash. It might take some time to retract the black box and get information from it and the technical data that will be retrieved. Based on that, it will be ascertained as to what may have gone wrong, because there are multiple speculations as of now. Also, the last moment communication between the pilot and the ATC before the mayday call was given. If there was any communication or if there was any communication from the pilot highlighting that there is some issue with the aircraft, that also will be crucial in this investigation. So far, when we have spoken to the experts, they have highlighted two possibilities. One is the way the plane went down and declined on its flight path. One probable cause could be dual engine failure, which is certainly a rare thing to happen, rarest of the rare in fact. This, however, it is being suspected that there is a birds problem in Ahmedabad. It is also in the Bangalore airport, we have reported in the past, but the menace of birds need to be really huge to bring both engines down. So that is also what makes it a rare happening, and that is one reason why the experts are saying that fuel starvation could be one reason, or fuel contamination could be one reason that why both the engines stopped working mid-air. That is one reason. Another, what they're talking about, is there could be a power outage or control jamming, which is also a possibility that would bring the plane down. So these are the reasons that the AIB will also be looking at, and also the DGCA.
Well, can you confirm? Can you confirm, because there are reports, of course, coming out that those are the Minister of Home Affairs. He's taking a flight right now to Ahmedabad. Of course, this area does fall under his constituency, or very near to his constituency, viewers, and he's on his way there. And we know that the Union Home Minister has already expressed his shock at this incident. We also know a senior BJP leader has been caught up in this crash. We're updating inputs on his exact status as of now. He's a former Gujarat Chief Minister. Mr. Rupani was on board that flight. What we are being told right now is that there is a lot of speculation that is going on in different circles about the reasons behind this crash, and many people are looking very closely at the footage. And as we have been pointing out through the afternoon, that when the plane took off, it didn't even have time to retract the landing gear, and suddenly suffers a catastrophic loss of lift, which people don't quite know how it could have been possible, how did it actually happen, because fundamentally the Dreamliner has known to be extremely, extremely robust. There have been questions that have been appearing of recent, however, on different aspects of it. Federal Aviation Administration of America had said last year that it was investigating claims made by a Boeing engineer, and there have been, of course, this is well documented, it's been on various Netflix series, etc., who said that sections of the fuselage of the 787 Dreamliner were improperly fastened together and could break apart mid-flight after thousands of trips. Well, no such incident has been reported of recent, and if clearly that was not exactly what happened here, you can see that it's the engines that, or perhaps some other issue with the hydraulics that caused this loss of lift, because certainly no part of the fuselage here has come undone. Otherwise, we would have seen this particular plane unraveling mid-air. Let me go across to Payal. Payal, on the right, pictures of the Union Home Minister leaving for Ahmedabad.
Yes, it seems that the Home Minister will arrive in Ahmedabad in a short while from now. And of course, the Civil Aviation Minister also. What we are also learning, Rahul, that the BJP State President for Gujarat and Union Jal Shakti Minister C.R. Patil is also on his way to Gujarat. He has even also been asked to rush to Gujarat. He's also not just the state president, but he's also the union minister. He's the son of the soil as well. He's also been asked to go there and aid in whatever rescue relief operations are required. With the unfortunate news coming forth that, there could hardly be any survivors as far as this crash is really concerned. And obviously, that is something which everybody is waiting to see what has been the cause of this. Because I've been speaking to at least quite a few experts and quite a few union ministers, including former civil aviation ministers, Rahul. And they're very surprised because this is, of course, a modern state-of-the-art aircraft. What really led to this? So nothing is being ruled out as of now. And our colleague Manoj Gupta had just spoken to us a little earlier. And he basically also said that the sabotage angle is also being, looked into over here with the fact that several national and international passengers were on board as well. And what an unfortunate, episode coming to the fore, not just for those people who are actually on the flight, right, but also for the building on which this aircraft fell, where, the doctors were having their lunch break as well. And a complete, very, very tragic afternoon to speak the least as well. But all hands on the deck approached by the Prime Minister, and therefore multiple ministers are being rushed to the accident site.
Well, PIB of India has put out a fact check saying that an old video is being shared on social media linking it to the Ahmedabad plane crash. It shows a view from inside the plane. The video is of a plane crash that happened in Nepal in January 2023. And the PIB says rely only on information from official sources or in mainstream media. For authentic information related to the Ahmedabad crash, contact the helpline number provided by the central government. And that number, of course, is on your screens even as we speak, viewers. So don't, again, get sucked into conspiracy theories. There are many people who are going to talk about a lot of things that might not quite fit the facts once we know them. But as of now, we can tell you that Boeing has issued a statement. So we're in contact with Air India regarding Flight 171 and stand ready to support them. Our thoughts are with the passengers, crew, first responders and all affected. So this is a statement that has been put out by Boeing. There is, of course, a past history where Boeing has been under scrutiny, but has that resulted in this particular incident? One can't say. It's too premature. But what we can tell you, viewers, is that the number of casualties are being estimated to be very high. There is a possibility of very few survivors. That's also what we are being told. Unofficially, of course, we don't have any confirmation of the status of the passengers. But what we can tell you is that there were 12 crew, including 2 very experienced pilots. Indians, passengers were 169, British 53, and passengers from other nationalities 7. You can see on your screens a Portuguese and 1 Canadian. So that made up the entire 242 passenger list, including, of course, the crew. And what we are being told, viewers, is that not many might survive this devastating tragedy. I want to go across to Anvit. Anvit, what's the latest on the casualty figures? What are you picking up? And also, of course, from the ground, we know that there were about 50 to 60 MBBS students that are admitted in hospital. It is being said that they are stable. This is the Federation of All India Medical Association that is putting out these details as per discussions with the president of the RDA BG Medical College Ahmedabad and Vice President FAIMA Dr. Dhaval Gameti. these numbers are being put out. 4 to 5 MBBS students are missing. Hope they're okay. 2-3 are in HDU and ICU, so their situation is quite precarious. 3-4 relatives of the super specialist resident doctors are missing right now, and wife of one found dead, and most of the passengers of the flight are brought dead. We appeal to everyone to remain calm. So this is the first intimation that we have got from any official source about the possibility of casualty figures. Anvit.
Yeah, Rahul, see, the situation on ground is such that some people certainly are missing because the crash, the plane went into a residential area and the buildings have been damaged. The people from ground, many of them are being reported missing. Some are yet to be traced. It is not confirmed whether they are dead or they have been taken to some hospital and they remain unidentified. So these are the problems and the challenges that the first responders and the paramedics and medical experts are facing on ground right now. That is one challenge. Another is that the plane had tons of fuel as it has just taken off and it was bound to go to Gatwick. So it had a huge amount of fuel. Usually it is with the planes that their fuel is contained into the wings, and that is one reason why when planes crash that it immediately goes up in flames. This is one reason, and this is exactly what we saw that happened with this flight as well. The moment it touched down, the moment it touched the residential area where it crashed, the plane went up in flames. And that is one reason why mostly in air crashes, the number of survivors is the least. And even in this incident, hardly there would be any survivors is what we are learning from the sources on ground, which is highly unfortunate. But this is the reality that there might, the chances of survival of anyone on board that aircraft might be very less. Also, there are casualties, collateral damage from the ground because it was the residential area. We saw how the plane's flight path declined instead of rising, and it had been taking off. And it was just minutes after taking off that the flight went down and crashed. So the visuals are clearly suggestive of the fact that they would the casualty figures that have already crossed 150 is what we're learning from the ground. That is expected to only rise. It is unfortunate, but yes, some people have also been rushed to medical facilities and they have been marked safe. This includes a number of hostelers and the doctors who were living in the hostel in the building in which the plane has crashed. So they have been marked safe with some injuries, and they've been said they're out of danger, which is a good news in this. But on-ground situation remains challenging as rescue operations are still continuing.
Well, that's not a very encouraging outlook that has been painted there by Anvit. What we can tell you, viewers, is that the FAIMA, the Federation of All India Medical Association, has put out the latest details, and Shivani, it doesn't make for very encouraging reading. 50 to 60 MBBS students are admitted, and thankfully some are stable, most are stable. 4 to 5 MBBS students are missing, and 2-3 in HDU and ICU. But the prognosis on the passengers of the flight is not very good. Shivani.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. In what is now the second biggest air tragedy in India, an Air India flight with 232 passengers and 10 crew members crashed shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad airport. Now, the plane was carrying 169 Indians, 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian passenger, and was bound for London. Already, 130 plus casualties have been confirmed. 130 plus passengers have been declared dead, even as rescue and relief operations are on. The tragedy and crash has been so severe that the worst is now feared as far as the casualties are concerned. The aircraft involved was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner 12 and is believed that the pilots lost both engines and plunged very quickly after takeoff. Before Ahmedabad, Boeing 787, known as the Dreamliner, entered service in October 2011 and had never been involved in a fatal incident. But there have been many concerns over safety and audit-related issues with Boeing, the company itself. Home Minister Amit Shah, Civil Aviation Minister K. Ram Mohan Naidu have travelled to Ahmedabad along with other ministry and DGCA officials. News also is that former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani was on the flight travelling to London, where his family is currently, and we are awaiting confirmation on his condition. Let's take a look at exactly what happened. Air India Boeing flight AI-171 from Ahmedabad to Gatwick in London crashed immediately after takeoff from the Ahmedabad airport itself. As per ATC, the aircraft departed from Ahmedabad at 1:39 p.m. this afternoon from runway 23. So it was scheduled to leave this afternoon. It departed or took off at 1:39 p.m. There were 242 persons on board the aircraft, consisting of 2 pilots and 10 cabin crew, as I mentioned. The aircraft was under the command of Captain Sumit Sabharwal with First Officer Clive Kundar. Captain Sumit Sabharwal is a line training captain with 8,200 hours of experience. The co-pilot also had 1,100 hours of flying experience. Now, the captains, the crew gave a mayday call to the ATC shortly after its takeoff, but thereafter no response was given by the aircraft to the calls made by the ATC. Now, the flight is said to have crashed within a minute after takeoff from runway 23. It had barely achieved a height of 600 odd feet. And the worst is that it actually lost control so badly that the pilots crashed right outside the airport perimeter. The Air India flight crashed at an under construction building, but it also damaged in its path a medical college and hospital, where few students have also been injured. We're also trying to ascertain more about their condition on ground. So what exactly happened mid-air? Initial data from flight Air India 171 shows that the aircraft reached a maximum barometric altitude of 625 feet only. Now, this is not a lot. This is just about 425 feet above the altitude of the runway itself, which is at 200 feet. Minutes after making that mayday call, the Air India flight started to descend with a vertical speed of minus 475 feet per minute. So you can imagine that actually the flight went down so quickly that within a few seconds it had crashed into those buildings, possibly giving no time to the pilots and others to even try to maneuver away from what seems to be a heavily densely populated area. These are some of the videos that we have also been able to capture through various residents of that area. This is of course the moment the Air India Ahmedabad-London flight crashed after takeoff. You can see that it immediately burst into flames, which is why we are fearing heavy casualties and possibly no survivors. Minutes after the flight crashed at this under construction building, visuals show parts of the flight up in flames. Footage also shows firefighters dousing those flames soon after the plane had crashed. And because the proximity of this crash site is so close to the city and the airport itself, the rescue and the fire services actually managed to get to the area, to the crash site fairly quickly, within minutes, is also what the police has confirmed. The visuals from the crash site show the debris of the flight AI-171 scattered across the area. This is one visual that is extremely damning as far as this crash is concerned. This is one portion of the crashed aircraft that has actually got stuck on top of the building, and other parts that have fallen on the ground, where of course there are lots of people that you can see as well. Dramatic visuals also show these parts crashing into these buildings at various areas. There is another mess hall where about 50 to 60 students that are studying, there are MBBS students that were studying in the nearby colleges, and there is a hostel where they used to live, and mess hall where they were eating lunch, when actually parts of the plane crashed into the windows of that mess as well. But thankfully there have been no casualties there, at least the mess hall is concerned. Soon after the crash, rescue efforts were in place, of course. Injured were rushed to hospitals. These are some of the visuals that we've managed to access. Chief Minister of Gujarat has also visited the civil hospital where most of the injured are being taken. These are, of course, injured. We don't know whether these were passengers. It's unlikely that they were passengers, because the situation also is that there could be more casualties or injured from on ground, from the buildings and across the airport perimeter where this plane crashed and burst into flames. We're also getting more fresh visuals that are arriving of the moments after the crash. Take a look at this visual. These are visuals of this densely populated area. You can see buildings are also on fire. There is debris on the ground that has caught fire as well. So these are the buildings that have come into the path of this crashing aircraft. We are being told that MBBS students lived in these hostels, and we are waiting to get more as far as their condition is concerned. But there is also a mess building, a mess hall where students had gone for eating during the lunch hour, which also bore the brunt, but less severe brunt of this crashing aircraft. At least there we spoke to an eyewitness. The students are safe. But the eyewitnesses told us that there is another building where this craft had crashed into. The visuals we also showed you earlier of the crashed aircraft stuck into the building. And there could be some casualties feared. But of course, we're trying to get you the latest. Let's also listen in, not just to eyewitnesses, but other relief agencies on ground as well.
यहीं मेरे ऑफिस में बैठी थी, जैसा धड़ाका हुआ मैं वहाँ ऑफिस से वहाँ गई। बहुत बड़ा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था, तो बहुत धुआं और आग लगी थी। जो डॉक्टर्स के फ्लैट थे उनको बहुत डैमेज हुए हैं, और उसमें से कितने डॉक्टरों को हमने निकाला है, लोकल कार्यकर्ता और सब मिलके। बाद में जो प्लेन में से निकाले हैं वो लोग भी बहुत
बड़ी दुखद दुर्घटना,
बहुत
कितने लोगों की मौत, कुछ
अभी कोई अंदाजा नहीं लग रहा है। रहने वालों को भी बहुत नुकसान हुआ है।
हाँ, जस्ट बोर्डिंग हुआ था, मैं अंदर फ्लाइट के अंदर वॉक करते जा रहे थे, बट सामने बहुत बड़ा धुआं वगैरह दिख रहा था। बट उस टाइम मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था वो प्लेन क्या है। जैसे कोई आग झाड़ी में वगैरह जंगल में आग लगती है ना, लाइक वैसा कुछ तो लग रहा था। ये मालूम नहीं था कि वो प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है।
तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ? इंडिगो की तरफ से इन्फॉर्मेशन, एयरपोर्ट की तरफ से क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गया?
नहीं, तब तक कुछ फिर हम अंदर जाके बैठे, हमारे साथ में हम फोटो भी निकाल रहे थे, जैसे कोई आग लगी होगी झाड़ी वगैरह में। जब फ्लाइट में बैठे और 10-15 मिनट इधर फिर एकदम से अनाउंसमेंट हो गया कि फ्लाइट डिले हो रहा है। बट वहाँ पे उन्होंने ये रीज़न नहीं बताया कि किस वजह से डिले हो रहा है। डिले हो रहा है इतना ही बताया था। बट अभी वो वाईफाई मतलब इंटरनेट वगैरह सब चालू था, मोबाइल पे न्यूज़ आ गया, तब हमें पता चला कि वो फ्लाइट क्रैश हुआ है।
लड़का है ना, वो ब्रेक पड़ा था खाने का, तो हॉस्टल में खाने गया था इधर, आणि हॉस्टल में ही प्लेन क्रैश हुआ। पर मेरे लड़का को कुछ हुआ नहीं, बात हुई मेरी, पर इसके भाईबंद है ज़्यादा है, तो लोग मर गए। ये फिर मेरे लड़का को देखने जाना है अंदर। मेरे को लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे माल से कूदा था ना, तो थोड़ा खाली लगा है, ऐसा बोला है मेरे को। पर मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना।
ठीक है।
हमारी बहन जा रही थी
1 बजे जा रही थी।
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
मेरी सारी था, वो अमृतसर थी, लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ, फिर
बस वो 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया को प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए सिविल में आ गया। अभी कुछ भी समाचार नहीं मिला है।
कुछ समय पहले दोपहर को एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना घटी है। एयर इंडिया का AI-171 जो अहमदाबाद से लंदन जाने वाला जो फ्लाइट था वो क्रैश हो गया है। उसमें कुल 242 लोग थे, 230 पैसेंजर थे और 12 क्रू मेंबर्स थे। तो वहाँ पे अभी सब राहत का कार्य शुरू है, बचाव का कार्य वहाँ पे शुरू है। हमारे मिनिस्ट्री में भी अभी हमने एक वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों की एक बैठक भी करी है। जांच तो शुरू है, वरिष्ठ लेवल पे हमारी मीटिंग भी अभी यहाँ पे हुई है, और वहाँ पे अभी इमरजेंसी में जो बचाव राहत का कार्य चल रहा है उस पर चर्चा हुई है। अभी किसी बात पर बोलना, यानी कि कितनी कैजुअल्टी हुई, क्या हुआ, तो उस पर थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
Let's go across to some of our experts joining us. Captain C.S. Randhawa is President of Federation of Indian Pilots. He's also served as former General Manager of Air India and former Deputy Chief Flight Operations Inspector at the DGCA. Group Captain M.J. Vinod is a former fighter pilot with the Indian Air Force with us. Dr. Vandana Singh, Chairperson of Aviation Cargo, Federation of Aviation Industry in India. V.K. Kukur is aviation expert also with us. I do thank you all for your time. First up, I want to go across to Captain C.S. Randhawa.
Yes, ma'am.
Your thoughts about the nature of the crash first up, because it has happened within a minute of takeoff, giving the pilots and the crew hardly any time to even be able to change their course of line or their direction, crashing into these buildings. What do you think could have transpired? What could have been those moments like inside that cockpit?
Okay. To start with, this was an extremely tragic accident which has occurred. Let me give you some background. Now, this flight was from Ahmedabad to London Heathrow and must be carrying at least 65,000 to 70,000 liters of aviation turbine fuel, which is highly inflammable. And it is in the category of the kerosene, and it is much more inflammant than petrol. Now, the aircraft has taken off. The pilot must have engaged the autopilot around 200 to 250 feet. Now, it seems that the aircraft would have been about 500-600 feet when it started descending, which I've seen through the video. And the pilot has given a mayday call.
Yes.
Normally, the mayday call should succeed with the nature of failure. Supposing I say mayday, 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 engine failure, left engine failure or right engine failure or both engine failure. The pilot has not given that. I think must be because the time was too short and the pilot was still thinking that what he has to do.
Okay.
Now there are, I could be wrong, the actual analysis will come after the DFDR, the digital data flight recorder, which will be taken out, which records many parameters of the aircraft, speed, height, engine thrust, your engine oil pressure, temperature. There are various parameters this DFDR, which is called the black box, records. In addition to that, there is a cockpit voice recorder, which has got a recording up to 2.5 hours, and then it starts auto erasing. So these two will be able to tell us during the investigation, which I don't think so, the AAIB, which will be instituted to do this inquiry of the crash, they will take time because even the Boeing company will be involved in, in this investigation.
So just hold your thought. Just hold your thought. I'm going to come back to you and our other experts as well. My colleague from News18 Gujarat, reporter Maulik Dhamecha, is actually joining us from the BJ hospital where this plane crashed. Yes. मौलिक, हमें जरा दिखाइए वहाँ पे किस तरह का डैमेज हुआ है और आपको क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन, क्या जानकारी मिल रही है कि कोई वहाँ पे जो बच्चे थे, जो स्टूडेंट्स थे, उनके क्या हालचाल है?
बिल्कुल पूरा मामला जो है वो 1:30 बजे के आसपास जब प्लेन क्रैश हुआ तब बना था। फिलहाल ये दृश्य से आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा कि ये जो पीजी अस्पताल है जहाँ डॉक्टरी की अस्पताल से पढ़ते हुए बच्चे, जहाँ प्लेन क्रैश होने के नाते लगभग 22 से 30 बच्चे थे जो यहाँ पे प्लेन क्रैश होते ही सीधा ब्लास्ट हुआ और ब्लास्ट होने के नाते वो यहाँ जलकर राख हो गए। साथ ही साथ 133 से भी ज़्यादा पैसेंजर जो प्लेन में सवार थे, अहमदाबाद से टेक ऑफ की हुई फ़्लाइट जो थी वो लंदन की ओर जा रही थी, पर करीबन एयरपोर्ट से निकलते ही लगभग 1 किलोमीटर दूर आई होगी और 1 किलोमीटर दूर आते ही ये ब्लास्ट होने के कारण सारा जो है तहस नहस हो चुका है। पूरी बिल्डिंग जो है 8 माले की बिल्डिंग अभी लगभग 4 माले की रह चुकी है। पूरा काटमाल जो है वो खसने की काम जो है वो पुलिस, NDRF की टीम, पूरा गुजरात पुलिस का फोर्स और साथ ही साथ आर्मी की टीम जो है वो भी जुटी हुई है। लोकल जो पुलिस और फायर ब्रिगेड की टीम जो है वो भी फिलहाल तैनात है। एक जो अस्पताल से निकाले गए जो डॉक्टर की ओर से बोले गए जो मृत लोग हैं उनको यहाँ से PM की ओर ले जाया जा रहा है। माना जा रहा है कि आने वाले समय में और भी जो कई डेड बॉडियाँ जो है वो निकाल के यहाँ से रवाना किए गए। कई सारे बच्चे थे, कई सारे युवा थे जो यहाँ से फ़्लाइट में सवार होते हुए और कई जो आशास्पद युवान जो डॉक्टरी की पढ़ाई करने आए हुए थे और ये प्लेन क्रैश होने के नाते अभी फिलहाल मौत को भेटे हुए।
मौलिक जी, मैं आपसे कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ एक बार और। मौलिक जी, मैं आपसे कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ एक बार और। आप कह रहे हैं कि 22 से लेके 30 बच्चे जो MBBS की तैयारी कर रहे थे और इस हॉस्टल में रहते थे, उनकी मृत्यु हो गई है,
अस्पताल ले जाया जाएगा।
मौलिक जी, आपको मेरी अगर आवाज आ रही है, मैं एक बार कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ आपसे कि ये जो MBBS की तैयारी कर रहे थे बच्चे, उसमें से 22 से 30 बच्चे उनकी मृत्यु हो गई है वहां पे उस हॉस्टल में।
माफ़ कीजिएगा, आपको एक बार क्वेश्चन जो है वो रिपीट करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि एम्बुलेंस की आवाज़ इतनी आ रही है, मैं आपको सुन नहीं पा रहा था। पर फिलहाल एक दृश्य जो है वो आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा कि जो अभी भी फ़िलहाल कई सारे स्वयंसेवक हैं, कई सारे एम्बुलेंस जो है वो यहाँ के लिए काम में जुटी हुई है, कागजात जो है वो निकालने के जुटी हुई है। फिलहाल एक एक करके एम्बुलेंस जो है वो अंदर भेजा जा रहा है और फिलहाल कोई भी अंदर आ ना जा सके, इसीलिए बीएसएफ का जो पॉइंट है वो बीएसएफ भी यहाँ अंदर जुटा हुआ है। लाइट जो है वो लाइट बिल्कुल ऑफ कर दिया है। टॉरेंट पावर की टीम जो है वो टॉरेंट पावर की टीम जो है यहाँ लगातार तैनात है। साथ ही साथ कई सारे स्वयंसेवक हैं वो भी जुटे हुए हैं। फिलहाल अभी एएमसी के जनरेटर मंगाए गए हैं क्योंकि जो आसपास में जो बड़े घने वृक्ष से उनको काटने के लिए कहीं जो जनरेटर की व्यवस्था जो है वो एएमसी की ओर से की जाए। ऐसी कई सारी मात्रा में एम्बुलेंस जो है एक दो डेड बॉडी निकालने के लिए आती जाती रहती है। अभी फ़िलहाल 50 से भी ज़्यादा डेड बॉडियाँ ऑलरेडी निकाल चुके हैं और उनको अस्पताल भेजा जा चुका है। फिलहाल ये मामला लगभग 1:30 बजे से जब शुरू हुआ है और अभी 6 बजने की वारदात है। 6 बजे बाद भी यहाँ से कोई बाहर निकलता है, एक दो डेड बॉडियाँ जो है वो बाहर निकलती नज़र आ रही। यानी कितने लोग हैं वो अभी कहना मुश्किल है। फिलहाल जो इंजर्ड लोगों की एक सूची बाहर आई है, वो इंजर्ड लोगों की सूची में ऐसा जानने मिला है कि लगभग 25 लोग जो है वो फिलहाल इंजर्ड है। उनकी अलग अलग वार्ड में सिविल अस्पताल के अंदर जो है वो सारवार होने जा रही है और बाकी सारे जो लोग हैं उनको यहाँ से डेड बॉडियाँ जो है वो निकाल के आगे की ओर ले जाया जा रहा है।
मौलिक जी, अगर आपको मेरी आवाज़ अब आ रही है, आपके आसपास बहुत आवाज़ है एम्बुलेंसेस की, मैं आपसे कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ कि जो बच्चे इस हॉस्टल में थे उनमें से कितनी की मृत्यु हुई है, जो आपके पास अभी जानकारी है?
अभी जिस प्रकार जानकारी मिल रही है वो बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन है। बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन इसीलिए क्योंकि जब घटनास्थल पे ये प्लेन जब क्रैश हुआ, ये यही जगह है। मैं आपको एक बार दृश्य के मार्फत दिखाना चाहूँगा कि ये जो जगह है वो बिल्कुल यही जगह है कि जहाँ से प्लेन का कॉकपिट होता है और कॉकपिट के आगे का भाग से लगभग 58 लीटर जितना फ्यूल जो था वो फ्यूल होने के नाते यहाँ टकराया था और टकराने की वजह से ये सारा जो बच्चे यहाँ हॉस्टल में पढ़ते थे, रहते थे, उनको यहाँ लगा हुआ था और ये सारे लोग यहाँ अभी मौत से जुटे हुए। सारे कई लोग जो बच गए थे वो बच गए, उसको अस्पताल में दाखिल कराया गया है, उनकी सारवार जो है वो चल रही है। पर जब तक आंकड़ा मिल पा रहा है कि 22 से भी ज़्यादा बच्चे यहाँ थे, उनको ले जाया जा रहा था और उसमें ये हादसा हुआ और ये हादसे में कई सारे पैसेंजर भी थी और वो जो पैसेंजर का आंकड़ा है वो अब तक 150 से भी ज़्यादा होने का माना जा रहा है।
ओके, Maulik the Major, thanks a lot for joining us. Let me go back to our guests who continue to be with us. Yes, Captain C.S. Randhawa was talking about what could have possibly gone wrong. I'm sorry to cut you short there. We were getting this live report. Yes, sir. Your thoughts on what could have possibly gone wrong? How can both engines of such a reliable aircraft, the Dreamliner, that had never been involved in such a crash of this nature, happen?
See, I said earlier that this could have been due to bird ingestion because Ahmedabad is a known airfield for a lot of bird activity. I have flown there enough number of times, and that was one challenge we used to have about the bird activity at Ahmedabad, even when we used to do training flights. So there could be a possibility that that both engines have flamed out because of bird ingestion. There is a very less possibility that the both engines have failed because of fuel starvation, because there are separate fuel lines going into each engine, and it is unlikely that such a situation has occurred. Until and unless there is some contamination in the fuel, some water content which was there due to cold soak, that possibility also cannot be ruled out. The other possibility could have been that when the pilot did not have much time to think that what has to be done when he's lost control of the aircraft, could be jamming of the control. If there is a jamming of the elevator control in the aircraft, then that possibility also cannot be ruled out. So, in my opinion, it will be not correct to come to any conclusion without the AIB retrieving the DFDR and the CVR, and then only we would be able to come to know. Thirdly, let me tell you, when the aircraft crashes with so much of fuel, it is like a time bomb.
Yes.
And if it lands up over a populated area, there is no question of survivors wherever the debris of the aircraft will go, because the fuel will be all over. And fuel, you know that when it is spread, even a small fire, little small light can create a havoc, because in one go it will burn the whole place.
Yes, yes. That
So
certainly
there is
seems to have
unlike-
happened as far as this case is also concerned. Let me also
Correct.
go across to Group Captain MJ Vinod. A very, very concerning situation this. Not only the fact that the plane crashed within a minute or so, barely had achieved any height or altitude before it crashed. It seems like the pilots were not able to control the plane at all. Their power was completely off. Both engines could have, and we are being told that that can only happen if both engines have gone off, which is a very rare situation. And then, of course, for the plane to have crashed into a residential area, my colleague was just bringing a report there from what is a tragic scene unfolding, which was a hostel for MBBS students who seem to have come in the path of this crashing plane.
Yes, Shivani, with all due respect to all the information out there, I want to, Shivani, I mean, you know me by now, I want to break it down into logical pieces. I landed in this particular runway just a couple of days ago on a twin-engine big jet, and very, very familiar with this place. I keep landing there often. So, with that as the background, I'm saying this. If you hear the voice or the noise of this particular video, you can clearly make out that the engines are humming till the time the aeroplane is touching down or hitting the ground. A loss of thrust, loss of power is not the case here. At least from the time they have started filming this video till the time the crash happens, you can hear the engine is running. Point number one. Point number two. Was it just one engine running or was it both engine running? So let's demystify, Shivani, as if one engine running. I reiterate to all our viewers, any twin engine aeroplane, including 787 Dreamliner that we are seeing on the screen now, is capable of taking off. After V1 is when we take off. I mean, there's a speed called V1 at which we take off. The speed V1 speed caters for you to take off in one engine, climb out in one engine, carry out an emergency landing in one engine. It is designed for a single engine operation, which means even if one engine is, so we can hear the noise of the engine, assuming it is just one engine. Okay, before the video was taken, one engine, say, had died. Even if it was one engine, this aeroplane can continue to climb in one engine. It is designed to do so. Then the question, Shivani, you'll ask me is, why did the aeroplane sink?
Yes.
The sink can happen when you have the two-engine failure or when you have loss of lift. So when you zoom in closely, as you can see, zoomed in video in the box, you can see very clearly the trailing edge of the wing is up. That is called the flaps. Normally, as you can see behind me also, the flaps are down for takeoff and landing. So it is kept down so that you can take off at a much lower speed. But if the flap goes up prematurely, whatever could be the reason, it could be electrical, it could be any reason, the aeroplane now loses lift and it starts sinking. So even with two engines, with loss of lift and heavy aeroplane will not be able to climb out.
No,
it is
just a clarification.
As simple as that.
What causes this loss of lift?
Flaps are up, Shivani, because the flaps are put down so that the aeroplane wings can generate much more lift. 120% lift is extra. Matlab, 100 plus 120 is what you get when the flaps are down. But when the flap goes up, as you pick up speed, you have to keep raising the flaps. And as you pick up cruising speed, the flaps are fully up, the aeroplane wing is straight, as it is seen in the video. So the flaps have gone up. In 2013, Shivani, this particular entire 787 was grounded because of some electrical issues. And after that, they sorted out the electrical issues and the aeroplane came back online.
Are you
So
suggesting
I'm
that there
saying
are technical issues that could have led to loss of flight?
loss of lift?
Yes.
Possible, but only the FDR will tell us whether the flap went up automatically or the flap went up due to some other reason. Only the FDR will be, and the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder, will be able to tell us. But Shivani, you turn up the volume and let the let our viewers hear the noise. The engine is running. So the loss of lift, in my opinion, could be the reason. But again, there are only two people who will know. One is the FDR, and another is God. No one else can tell you what went wrong.
You know, I spoke to several experts through the day when we first got the update about this crash. And most are suggesting that this nature of crash soon after takeoff in what was clearly a fit aircraft to fly, it had come from Delhi to Ahmedabad and then was flying from Ahmedabad to London, could not have happened given that the pilots had no time to react, to respond. After Mayday call, they were incommunicado. This couldn't have happened without loss of engine. But you are suggesting that loss of engine is not the case here.
Turn up the volume. You will know what I'm saying. Just turn up the volume of this particular video. You will know what I'm saying. See, sound is a very, very important clue. Visual, yes, but sound is a very, very important clue, especially, you'll be surprised to know, and the viewers will be surprised to know, with sound, you can even make out what is the RPM of the engine. We have that technology where we can make out what is the RPM of the engine, and with that, we can make out whether engine was at what RPM is it going around, and did it function correctly or not. So these are the things we are able to make out with just sound. So the engine,
question that
at least
arises
one
is,
engine was working, Shivani. At least one, and one is enough.
And one is clearly enough. So the question that arises is whether it's a technical, mechanical failure or some sort of a manual error. Dr. Vandana Singh is chairperson of Aviation, Cargo and Federation of Aviation Industry in India. And Dr. Vandana, I want to come to you with the issues surrounding the Boeing. While the Boeing Dreamliner is being called an airline with great safety record, we do know that there are whistleblowers plus other investigations that have happened into Boeing operations that have pointed out to serious lapses in security protocols, audits, etc. In fact, in April 2024, a whistleblower had actually warned against the safety of the Dreamliner 787 itself. What do you make of what has happened today?
Rightfully said, well acknowledged, and thank you for having me on your show, Shivani. Yes, indeed, first of all, 787, a Dreamliner as such is a very robust aircraft, and it has a good health check about it, that it is flying all over the world and it's being maintained well. There are whistleblowers everywhere, whether it's Airbus, whether it's Boeing, whether it's any other company, we know about that. I am actually questioning the maintenance of this particular equipment, and if all the checks were done in order. I'm also hearing all about, what could it be? Of course, the flight data, the recorder is going to reveal what it was, but it could have been a massive electrical or a software system failure cause, which means it is causing total FADEC, full authority, digital engine control, meaning complete down. But then if the engines were running, the question is what went wrong? It could be a critical maintenance issue. It could be a weight and volume issue. It could be a misdeclaration on the flight. It could be cargo. It could be something as simple as a lithium battery or dry ice or something which is cargo aircraft only, which is loaded on this equipment. We also see it tail heavy. When we are seeing the visuals, we are also seeing it tail heavy. So there are many questions there, many speculations there, and all the experts are talking about it. But having said that, both Boeing and Airbus are having their own, set of flaws, questions. do not forget the Qantas flight in 2008, where not engine failure, but how electrical and software glitches completely disrupted it and caused the crash. So the question is, we can speculate right now. Flight data the recorder is going to reveal everything, but whistleblowers are definitely needed. Whistleblowers have to come out, because this is talking about the safety and security of human life. We are playing with that. And I'm questioning everything from ground handling to critical maintenance to the fact, did this go through A check? It's an 11-year-old equipment, fine. It has a long life, no problem. But did it go through its A checks, which is 400 to 600 hours? Was it being checked properly? And I won't even question the C check or the D check here, which happens every 12 to 24 months, or D check, which takes after every 6 to 8 years. Was that being done? Were the audits being done by Air India? We are doing audits on Turkish Airlines, very good. Are we doing audits on Air India? Are we even checking if everything is in order? Is the maintenance coming into play? Are the people there, actually the engineers, doing their job? Is there contamination of the fuel? Why is it tail heavy? Is there a misdeclaration of weight volume? What is it? These are the questions that come to my mind at this point of time. Over to you.
VK Kukur, what do you make of it? This is a unique kind of a crash, if I can say so. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm saying this after speaking to several experts during the day over the last 4 or 5 hours, where they seem to suggest that, this is a very unique kind of crash. Something like this is not witnessed very often. Because the kind of crash, the visuals that have been captured suggest that there was engine loss. Some of our experts are now suggesting that engines were working. They can hear the clear engine hum in the visuals that have come out. What is your sense of what could have gone wrong?
It's a very, very unfortunate thing which has happened in the history of aviation. As far as 787s are concerned, they are supposed to be the best aircrafts. And I find that there is no reason at the moment to say that there's a maintenance issue or any other issue. It is something which has happened in a critical stage of the takeoff. It has happened when the aircraft is not even 400 feet above the ground. It has happened, it can only be ascertained when DFDR and cockpit voice recorders are checked and the truth will come out. But it appears there seems to be a power loss, whatever reason it could be. And the pilot must have tried to maintain, and that is why you can see the nose of the aircraft is going up and up little. That means he's trying to maintain and he's losing the speed. And the aircraft is descending maybe 400, 500 feet per minute or whatever it is. Now, it can be a loss of power, it can be a loss of lift, it can be any other reason which has taken place in split of second, which probably did not give any time for the pilots to do anything, because they were handling the aircraft fine, because you could see the aircraft the way it is going down and it is stable. There was nothing that it was tilting here, there, or some failures have taken place and trying to correct them. No, it's flying off. From the pictures I can see. Rest we'll come to know, but it's very, very unfortunate, and there is nothing else can be said at the moment.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. This has really shocked the entire country and the entire world. This power loss, sir, that you talk about, this power loss, just for the benefit of our viewers, what all things can cause this power loss?
Power loss can be due to bird also, can be any reason, because I am not an engineer or I am not an expert on 787s. but it looks like the engines were not developing the power, and that is why he was trying to maintain the height by pulling the nose up. This is what I can see from the pictures. And it is a very critical height. And it did not give him time to even turn back and land.
Yes.
Because if he had turned back, there should have been some speed. Yes. Otherwise, it would have been drag and it would have been fall. So he was trying to maintain. That's what I can see.
Yes.
I don't know much more than this, but it's a very, very unfortunate, and we cannot at the moment pinpoint any fault at the moment till such time the investigations are carried out. And the aircraft has already flown from Delhi or Bombay to Ahmedabad. They must have done the checks at the transit also, at the night stop also. So I don't think that if something has gone wrong, it has gone wrong in maybe 4-second or 5-second time.
Right.
5 seconds, 10 seconds, because the aircraft has not attained more than 400 feet from the ground.
Absolutely. It happened very soon after takeoff. Hardly any altitude had been achieved by the aircraft.
It is a critical stage of takeoff.
Yes, yes. Captain Saurav Bhatnagar, who's a former A320 pilot from with Indigo, is also joining us. Captain Bhatnagar, your sense on what could have gone wrong as far as this crash is concerned?
Hi, good evening. First of all, I must, say this was a very tragic accident which has happened in the history of, 787 Dreamliner, one of the very best and one of the very excellent aircraft to fly by. Though I'm an Airbus 320 with Indigo and Air India Express. And, a lot of theories, the moment these kinds of accidents happen, so there's a lot of theories starts, floating in the air, in the WhatsApp group, in the pilot group and everything. And naturally, the footage also I have seen, and prima facie, it appears to me that yes, what sir is saying is loss of power. Because if you see the attitude of the aeroplane, it is going down immediately after takeoff within 1.6 to 1.7 nautical miles in the takeoff direction. The aircraft has gone down. Okay. The moment you see the footage, it looks like a very controlled descent. And there's no flip, there's no change in the attitude of the aeroplane or something. So it looks like a loss of power. Now how the loss of power can take place, whether it is one engine or whether it is two engine. So we are trained, in fact all the aircraft are designed, proven and tested to fly out of the ground even with one engine fail at the time of the takeoff. So we are trained in the simulator, we do exercises regularly. So the engine, even single engine with full takeoff weight, certified takeoff weight, is designed to climb out of the runway on a single engine, clearing all the obstacles in the runway path and achieving the climb gradient for that airport which is designed. Having said that, it looks like to me that if there was some engine failure or one engine failure, the aircraft still is very flyworthy and could have gotten airborne. But the very fact that it came down like under the full force of gravity looks like loss of power on both engines, which could happen because of multiple bird strike. If you have a multiple bird strike or on both the engines, and even though the engines are in the process of winding down and not even the loss or thrust is reduced, or there's some pipeline break on whatever can happen, right? But the engines are not producing that much thrust. And the aircraft had just taken off with full weight, all of it going to London with so much of weight on board, full fuel, everything. What you see immediately on the fire, the ball of fire, the black smoke is of fuel. Anything other than that, when you have an electrical circuit, on fire, that is a white fumes are there, but the black one is always the fuel. It was a full fuel. So it's so prima facie, it appears to be a loss of engine or power on both the engines, but it's premature to say anything as of now. We all are speculating, and we all are giving our own theories. The flaps, which is a lift augmenting device, it's seen that the flaps are up, it's not down. The landing gear is down, which is again, it's quite surprising, because first the landing gear goes up and then the flap goes up. So the flaps are up in this case. So we are just speculating. And with my experience, what I can tell you is that this is what we cannot confirm. It's all unconfirmed. The inquiry official will tell what exactly. But it's quite tragic that has happened today.
Sir, can I ask you, in your experience, this happened very soon after takeoff, within a minute or so. The crew, the captain gave a mayday call. There was an SOS call. Could you, in your experience, just share with us what those moments could have been like inside the cockpit, given that something has gone wrong so terribly that the plane is unable to lift?
Yeah, you see, the first thing is the mayday call is given. It's a distress call. So there are two calls in international aviation fraternity. In basically, it's distress and urgency. So distress is mayday, mayday, mayday. Urgency is pan, 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 pan. So this is It is to identify what kind of the emergency the aircraft or the aircraft is experiencing. Mayday means that it's in a distress. It means that the aircraft is under imminent danger, or the occupants of the aircraft are under imminent danger, and it could, in the civil parlance, you can say that yes, the aircraft is about to crash or something, or out of control, right? When the aircraft fuel goes out of fuel and says mayday, mayday, that means the aircraft is not able. It's not a flyover. They're not able to sustain in the air. Okay, that is what it's. There is the imminent danger to the lives or to the aircraft and everything. That is why it's a distress call given. The very fact that the pilot gave the distress call of mayday, 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 it means that he did not have the whatever could have been done, what already been done. At the end of it, once you know that they're not, it's whatever a pilot was supposed to be doing, he has done in that short span of time, 1.6 nautical miles, when the aircraft has come down after takeoff. He has already done everything, and thereafter, at the end of it, it says just informing that it's a distress situation now, and then he gives the mayday call.
Absolutely. Can I go back across to Captain C.S. Randhawa as well, because he's also been former Deputy Chief Flight Operations Inspector at the DGCA. So do you sense that there could have been any maintenance issue, as one of our guests is pointing out, that it could well plain be negligence of maintenance in this case?
I have my doubts on that, because the aircraft has flown from Delhi, and Air India maintenance is good, and I do not foresee that happening. I told you there could have been a chance of fuel contamination because of cold soak. The water has gone, because now the cold soak also, if it is taking place, and if the water has gone through the fuel pipelines along with the fuel, going into both the engines, and then both engines having turned down because of contamination, is a very rare possibility. So I think there could be a bird head, there could be a control jam, as I still mentioned, or there could be some contamination in the fuel because of the cold soak, but unlikely of any issues regarding maintenance. One point which one of the people in the panel, he spoke that the flaps seem to be up. Now, in the video, it is not clear that the flaps have gone up or flaps are down. In case the flaps have gone up, then I do not think that could be a technical issue, that the flaps will go up automatically. Now, in case that happens at a low altitude, there can be a loss of lift. Okay, if the engine sounds are being heard, and if the engines were revving and they were running, then this could be a possibility, a loss of lift in case the flaps have gone up. So these are all, we are trying to speculate things, but actually everything will come clear when the DFDR and the CVR are taken out and they are analyzed. And of course, Boeing is going to be a part of the investigations, because there is a lot at stake for the manufacturer.
Absolutely.
Because a fear of flying will settle in the minds of passengers who are flying 787. So it will be in the interest and of the the AIB and the Boeing company to come out. They will come out after they have analyzed the DFDR and the CVR.
Well, Boeing has indicated already in its statement that they are, of course, going to participate in whatever processes are involved and investigations. These are also visuals on the right of your screen of the Aviation Minister, Mr. Naidu, who has landed in Gujarat now, and he's at the crash site. These are live visuals that we're getting. We're also, of course, expecting Home Minister Amit Shah, along with officials of the Civil Aviation Ministry, the DGCA and others who've been asked to be on ground. Because it is really in Ahmedabad where most of the efforts are required. There are additional trains that have now been announced for to and fro Ahmedabad, especially from Delhi and Mumbai, because flight operations were disrupted and possibly people might want to take a train out, in or out of the city right now. I want to go back across to Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar one more time. Sir, this jamming that has been talked about, some other experts had also mentioned this during the day, this control jam. What causes this and what can a pilot do in a situation like that?
You know what Captain Randhawa has said, yes, control jam can happen at any time, control surface jamming, anything which is motor failure or because it's a fly-by-wire aircraft, electric signal goes and then the hydraulics operate the system. So if there is a control jam or a control failure, definitely the aircraft will not be able, the pilot will not be able to control the aircraft. But what I try to, what my thing is that even if there is say control failure or control jam, if the engines are developing thrust.
Building, but it also damaged in its path a medical college and hospital where few students have also been injured. We're also trying to ascertain more about their condition on ground. So what exactly happened mid-air? Initial data from flight Air India 171 shows that the aircraft reached a maximum barometric altitude of 625 feet only. Now, this is not a lot. This is just about 425 feet above the altitude of the runway itself, which is at 200 feet. Minutes after making that mayday call, the Air India flight started to descend with a vertical speed of minus 475 feet per minute. So you can imagine that actually the flight went down so quickly that within a few seconds it had crashed into those buildings, possibly giving no time to the pilots and others to even try to maneuver away from what seems to be a heavily densely populated area. These are some of the videos that we have also been able to capture through various residents of that area. This is, of course, the moment the Air India Ahmedabad-London flight crashed. After takeoff, you can see that it immediately burst into flames, which is why we are fearing heavy casualties and possibly no survivors. Minutes after the flight crashed at this under construction building, visuals show parts of the flight up in flames. Footage also shows firefighters dousing those flames soon after the plane had crashed. And because the proximity of this crash site is so close to the city and the airport itself, the rescue and the fire services actually managed to get to the area, to the crash site fairly quickly, within minutes, is also what the police has confirmed. The visuals from the crash site show the debris of the flight AI-171 scattered across the area. This is one visual that is extremely damning as far as this crash is concerned. This is one portion of the crashed aircraft that has actually got stuck on top of the building, and other parts that have fallen on the ground where, of course, there are lots of people that you can see as well. Dramatic visuals also show these parts crashing into these buildings at various areas. There is another mess hall where about 50 to 60 students that are studying, there are MBBS students that were studying in the nearby colleges, and there is a hostel where they used to live and mess hall where they were eating lunch, when actually parts of the plane crashed into the windows of that mess as well. But thankfully, there have been no casualties there, at least the mess hall is concerned. Soon after the crash, rescue efforts were in place, of course. Injured were rushed to hospitals. These are some of the visuals that we've managed to access. Chief Minister of Gujarat has also visited the civil hospital where most of the injured are being taken. These are, of course, injured. We don't know whether these were passengers. It's unlikely that they were passengers, because the situation also is that there could be more casualties or injured from on ground, from the buildings and across the airport perimeter where this plane crashed and burst into flames. We're also getting more fresh visuals that are arriving of the moments after the crash. Take a look at this visual. These are visuals of this densely populated area. You can see buildings are also on fire. There is debris on the ground that has caught fire as well. So these are the buildings that have come into the path of this crashing aircraft. We are being told that MBBS students lived in these hostels, and we are waiting to get more as far as their condition is concerned. But there is also a mess building, a mess hall where students had gone for eating during the lunch hour, which also bore the brunt, but less severe brunt of this crashing aircraft. At least there we spoke to an eyewitness. The students are safe. But the eyewitnesses told us that there is another building where this craft had crashed into. The visuals we also showed you earlier of the crashed aircraft stuck into the building. And there could be some casualties feared. But of course, we're trying to get you the latest. Let's also listen in, not just to eyewitnesses, but other relief agencies on ground as well.
यहीं मेरे ऑफिस में बैठी थी, जैसा धड़ाका हुआ मैं वहाँ ऑफिस से वहाँ गई। बहुत बड़ा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था, तो बहुत धुआं और आग लगी थी। जो डॉक्टर्स के फ्लैट थे उनको बहुत डैमेज हुए हैं, और उसमें से कितने डॉक्टरों को हमने निकाला है, लोकल कार्यकर्ता और सब मिलके। बाद में जो प्लेन में से निकाले हैं वो लोग भी बहुत
बड़ी दुखद दुर्घटना,
बहुत
कितने लोगों की मौत, कुछ
अभी कोई अंदाज़ा नहीं लग रहा है। रहने वालों को भी बहुत नुकसान हुआ है।
हाँ, जस्ट बोर्डिंग हुआ था, मैं अंदर फ्लाइट के अंदर वॉक करते जा रहे थे, बट सामने बहुत बड़ा धुआं वगैरह दिख रहा था। बट उस टाइम मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था वो प्लेन क्या है। जैसे कोई आग झाड़ी में वगैरह जंगल में आग लगती है ना, लाइक वैसा कुछ तो लग रहा था। ये मालूम नहीं था कि वो प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है।
तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ? इंडिगो की तरफ से इन्फॉर्मेशन, एयरपोर्ट की तरफ से क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गया?
नहीं, तब तक कुछ फिर हम अंदर जाके बैठे, हमारे साथ में हम फोटो भी निकाल रहे थे, जैसे कोई आग लगी होगी झाड़ी वगैरह में। जब फ्लाइट में बैठे और 10-15 मिनट इधर फिर एकदम से अनाउंसमेंट हो गया कि फ्लाइट डिले हो रहा है। बट वहाँ पे उन्होंने ये रीज़न नहीं बताया कि किस वजह से डिले हो रहा है। डिले हो रहा है इतना ही बताया था। बट अभी वो वाईफाई मतलब इंटरनेट वगैरह सब चालू था, मोबाइल पे न्यूज़ आ गया, तब हमें पता चला कि वो फ्लाइट क्रैश हुआ है।
मेरा लड़का है ना, वो ब्रेक पड़ा था खाने का, तो हॉस्टल में खाने गया था इधर, અને હોસ્ટેલ में ही प्लेन क्रैश हुआ, पर मेरे लड़का को कुछ हुआ नहीं। बात हुई मेरी, पर इसके भाईबंद है ज़्यादा हुए तो लोग मर गए। ये फिर मेरे लड़का को देखने जाना है अंदर। मेरे को लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे माल से कूदा था ना, तो थोड़ा खाली लगा है, ऐसा बोला है मेरे को। पर मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना।
ठीक है।
हमारी बहन जा रही थी लंदन,
1 बजे जा रही थी प्लेन।
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
मेरी सारी था वो खम्बीसर थी और लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ, फिर
बस वो 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया तो प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए सील में आ गया। अभी कुछ भी समाचार नहीं मिला है।
कुछ समय पहले दोपहर को एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना घटी है। एयर इंडिया का AI-171 जो अहमदाबाद से लंदन जाने वाला जो फ्लाइट था वो क्रैश हो गया है। उसमें कुल 242 लोग थे, 230 पैसेंजर थे और 12 क्रू मेंबर्स थे। तो वहाँ पे अभी सब राहत का कार्य शुरू है, बचाव का कार्य वहाँ पे शुरू है। हमारे मिनिस्ट्री में भी अभी हमने एक वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों की एक बैठक भी करी है। जांच तो शुरू है वरिष्ठ लेवल पे हमारी।
After the takeoff, the compressor was like getting turned on, turned off, on, off. So the temperature, it was not stable. And usually I fly wearing a full sleeve shirt or jacket, but today I'm flying in a half t-shirt because initially I thought that it would be cold and I would be needing a blanket, but it was so hot inside the plane throughout the journey. I mean, I was not able to tolerate the fact that why it is happening. Secondly, in-flight entertainment, that is very common in Air India. It usually works. But now the thing in Boeing 787 is 2 things are there. One is that you don't have the option to move the flap up and down. The second one is you cannot call the cabin crew by just pressing the button in the overhead like on your overhead, right? So there was no button in the overhead. There was the button in the remote control, which I have clearly shown in the video. that the button was also not working. When the plane was on ground, I wanted to call the staff, I mean the air hostess, to tell her about the issue. But then I was not able to call, and right after takeoff they came. But by that time I adjusted ki okay, it's just half an hour, or like it's just 1 hour flight. ठीक है, in 40 minutes we'll be landing. क्या ही बोलूँगा? Everyone thinks that कि यार अब जो हो गया क्या इस पे, it is not working. If it is not working, so मेरे phone से it will not work. So I ignored it. Third thing was I was sitting on seat 25A, right, and I was just next to this left engine. Right. I'm listening to these news now, but I'll be giving my opinion. So I noticed that the wing were like the flaps and everything. I was thinking that they are not like properly. They were
Okay.
like kind of unstable. Yeah.
All right. We'll take that on notice. Thanks a lot, Akash Watts, for joining us. He says that he has experienced some unusual instances when he boarded the same plane when it flew from Delhi to Ahmedabad earlier in the day. Time for me to wrap up Plane Speak. The right stand is coming up in just a bit.
The video, and the pilot has given a mayday call.
Yes.
Normally, the mayday call should succeed with the nature of failure. Supposing I say mayday, 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 engine failure, left engine failure, or right engine failure, or both engine failure. The pilot has not given that. I think must be because the time was too short, and the pilot was still thinking that what he has to do.
Okay.
Now there are, I could be wrong. The actual analysis will come after the DFDR, the digital data flight recorder, which will be taken out, which records many parameters of the aircraft, speed, height, engine thrust, your engine oil pressure, temperature. The various parameters this DFDR, which is called the black box, records. In addition to that, there is a cockpit voice recorder, which has got a recording up to 2.5 hours, and then it starts auto erasing. So these two will be able to tell us during the investigation, which I don't think so, the AAIB, which will be instituted to do this inquiry of the crash, they will take time because even the Boeing company will be involved in, in this investigation.
So just hold your thought. Just hold your thought. I'm going to come back to you and our other experts as well. My colleague from News18 Gujarat, reporter Maulik Dhamecha, is actually joining us from the BJ hospital where this plane crashed. Yes. मौलिक, हमें जरा दिखाइए वहाँ पे किस तरह का डैमेज हुआ है और आपको क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन, क्या जानकारी मिल रही है कि कोई वहाँ पे जो बच्चे थे, जो स्टूडेंट्स थे, उनके क्या हालचाल है?
बिल्कुल पूरा मामला जो है वो 1:30 बजे के आसपास जब प्लेन क्रैश हुआ तब बना था। फिलहाल ये दृश्य से आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा कि ये जो पीजी अस्पताल है, जहाँ डॉक्टरी की अस्पताल से पढ़ते हुए बच्चे, जहाँ प्लेन क्रैश होने के नाते लगभग 22 से 30 बच्चे थे जो यहाँ पे प्लेन क्रैश होते ही सीधा ब्लास्ट हुआ और ब्लास्ट होने के नाते वो यहाँ जलकर राख हो गए। साथ ही साथ 133 से भी ज़्यादा पैसेंजर जो प्लेन में सवार थे, अहमदाबाद से टेक ऑफ की हुई फ़्लाइट जो थी वो लंदन की ओर जा रही थी, पर करीबन एयरपोर्ट से निकलते ही लगभग 1 किलोमीटर दूर आई होगी और 1 किलोमीटर दूर आते ही ये ब्लास्ट होने के कारण सारा जो है तहस नहस हो चुका है। पूरी बिल्डिंग जो है 8 माले की बिल्डिंग अभी लगभग 4 माले की रह चुकी है। पूरा काटमाल जो है वो खसने का काम जो है वो पुलिस, एनडीआरएफ की टीम, पूरा गुजरात पुलिस का फोर्स और साथ ही साथ आर्मी की टीम जो है वो भी जुटी हुई है। लोकल जो पुलिस और फायर ब्रिगेड की टीम जो है वो भी फिलहाल तैनात है। एक जो अस्पताल से निकाले गए जो डॉक्टर की ओर से बोले गए जो मृत लोग हैं उनको यहाँ से पीएम की ओर ले जाया जा रहा है। माना जा रहा है कि आने वाले समय में और भी जो कई डेड बॉडियाँ जो है वो निकाल के यहाँ से रवाना किए गए। कई सारे बच्चे थे, कई सारे युवा थे जो यहाँ से फ़्लाइट में सवार होते हुए और कई जो आशास्पद युवान जो डॉक्टरी की पढ़ाई करने आए हुए थे और ये प्लेन क्रैश होने के नाते अभी फिलहाल मौत को भेटे हुए।
मौलिक जी, मैं आपसे कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ एक बार और। मौलिक जी, मैं आपसे कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ एक बार और। आप कह रहे हैं कि 22 से लेके 30 बच्चे जो एमबीबीएस की तैयारी कर रहे थे और इस हॉस्टल में रहते थे, उनकी मृत्यु हो गई है,
अस्पताल ले जाया जाएगा। माफ
मौलिक जी, आपको मेरी अगर आवाज आ रही है, मैं एक बार कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ आपसे कि ये जो MBBS की तैयारी कर रहे थे बच्चे, उसमें से 22 से 30 बच्चे उनकी मृत्यु हो गई है वहां पे उस हॉस्टल में।
माफ़ कीजिएगा, आपको एक बार क्वेश्चन जो है वो रिपीट करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि एम्बुलेंस की आवाज़ इतनी आ रही है, मैं आपको सुन नहीं पा रहा था। पर फिलहाल एक दृश्य जो है वो आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा कि जो अभी भी फिलहाल कई सारे स्वयंसेवक हैं, कई सारे एम्बुलेंस जो है वो यहाँ के लिए काम में जुटी हुई है, कागजात जो है वो निकालने के जुटी हुई है। फिलहाल एक एक करके एम्बुलेंस जो है वो अंदर भेजा जा रहा है और फिलहाल कोई भी अंदर आ ना जा सके, इसीलिए BSF का जो पॉइंट है वो BSF भी यहाँ अंदर जुटा हुआ है। लाइट जो है वो लाइट बिल्कुल ऑफ कर दिया है। टॉरेंट पावर की टीम जो है वो टॉरेंट पावर की टीम जो है यहाँ लगातार तैनात है। साथ ही साथ कई सारे स्वयंसेवक हैं वो भी जुटे हुए हैं। फिलहाल अभी AMC के जनरेटर मंगाए गए हैं क्योंकि जो आसपास में जो बड़े घने वृक्ष से उनको काटने के लिए कहीं जो जनरेटर की व्यवस्था जो है वो AMC की ओर से की जाए। ऐसी कई सारी मात्रा में एम्बुलेंस जो है एक दो डेड बॉडी निकालने के लिए आती जाती रहती है। अभी फिलहाल 50 से भी ज़्यादा डेड बॉडियाँ ऑलरेडी निकाल चुके हैं और उनको
right stand. I'm Akanksha Swarup. We're getting in breaking inputs. In fact, in deeply tragic news coming in, what we're learning is that Gujarat's former Chief Minister Rupani is confirmed dead in the shocking Air India plane crash that took place today, and that took place on Thursday afternoon. Remember, he had checked into the Z class, which, as we all know, falls under the business class category. Deeply tragic news coming in that the former Gujarat CM has been declared dead.
Yes. I'll only give one line to what you have asked right now. We are going to do a fair and thorough investigation. We are not going to spare anyone. We are not going to leave any stone unturned. We will do properly according to the protocol, and we are going to go to the depth of why this incident has happened. That much I can tell you now. बस अभी इतना का.
Thank you.
All right, Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu over there confirming that they will get to the depth and establish what led to that tragic air crash. But in the latest news that has come in, which is equally shocking as the air crash, is the fact that the former Gujarat Chief Minister, Mr. Vijay Rupani, has been confirmed dead. Let's also listen in to what C.R. Patil, Gujarat Minister, has to say.
प्लेन के हादसे जब होते हैं वो भयंकर होते हैं, और वो गुजरात में अहमदाबाद में हो, ये तो कभी गुजरात के लोगों ने कभी सोचा भी नहीं था। इतना बड़ा हादसा हुआ है, इससे पूरे गुजरात और देश की प्रजा भी हिली हुई है। इंटरनेशनल प्लेन में जाने वाले सभी लोग इसमें उनको क्षति हुई है, उनको कोई मौका ही नहीं मिला, और शहर के बीच में होते हुए भी हम कुछ नहीं कर पाए। इसका बड़ा दुख है। सभी दिवंगत आत्माओं को शांति मिले उसके लिए प्रार्थना करते हैं। उनके जो स्वजन है, उनके ऊपर जो आपत्ति आ पड़ी है, भगवान उनको शक्ति दे, ऐसी प्रार्थना करते हैं। और हमारे लिए तो हमारे नेता पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री श्री विजय रूपाणी भी इसी फ्लाइट में अपने परिवार को मिलने के लिए जा रहे थे, वो भी इस हादसा का शिकार हुए हैं। भगवान उनकी भी आत्मा को शांति दे। भाजपा परिवार में एक बहुत बड़ी खोट आई है, और इस हादसा इतना बड़ा है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी साहब भी और श्री अमित भाई शाह साहब भी तो तुरंत गुजरात पहुंच रहे हैं, और जो भी बन सकता है, जो भी कर सकते हैं, उसके लिए भी वो यहाँ पर आकर करेंगे।
All right, so C.R. Patil over there expressing his condolences, conveying his condolences to all those family members of the victims of this air crash. He's also conveyed his deep remorse with regards to how helpless they were in terms of not being able to do anything to rescue all those victims. Also has expressed his condolences for the tragic demise of Mr. Vijay Rupani, the former Gujarat CM. Joining me right now with more inputs is Payal Mehta. Payal, what are you learning in terms of the demise of the former Gujarat CM CM Mr. Vijay Rupani. At what time was he declared dead?
He was declared dead just a short while ago, but Rupani's demise seems very personal. I have covered his journey both as a Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament to the fact that he was declared the Chief Minister in 2016, to the fact that he was asked to step down in 2021 when Bhupendra Patel took over. Thereafter, he's held organizational responsibilities. Is currently the Punjab head as far as the BJP's organization is really concerned. He has been somebody who, in fact, stepped down from active politics, in the sense he would not fight active electoral politics in 2022 when he wrote that letter to C.R. Patil, essentially saying that he would not like to contest the election. And what a tragedy coming to the fore, Akanksha. He was on his way to London. That picture which is out is what fellow passenger clicked and sent to his daughter, because his wife, his daughter was already residing in London. She's married and has been residing in London. His son, who was in the US, was on his way to London, because the entire family was to meet together and celebrate a vacation together as well. What a sad end to this life as well. Vijay Rupani's had a long-standing career. He started his career as an ABVP, supporter. He's been somebody who, in fact, moved on to, in fact, be an RSS Pracharak. Has also been somebody who associated with the Janata government, had associated with the BJP from its very inception. One of those leaders who had actually spent few months in jail during the 1976 emergency as well. Extremely close to the BJP top leadership. Hails from Rajkot, is a Gujarati of the Jain community, has held multiple responsibilities, both with the organization and also with multiple responsibilities, including being a mayor in the past as well. What a sad end to the 68-year-old life. And Vijay Rupani, in a way, was on a happy trip to London, trying to meet his family for a vacation, and it ended in a very, very tragic manner. One's heart goes out to his entire family that has to actually deal with this tragedy now.
Right, absolutely agree with you. He was a figure who commanded and wielded much influence in the politics of not just the Bharatiya Janata Party, but particularly in Gujarat, because as you highlighted, he held office as the CM between 2016 and 2021. In fact, had held 2 consecutive terms. Many thanks to you, Payal, for bringing us those latest inputs. Let's also give our viewers a quick recap in terms of what exactly happened. From Ahmedabad to London Gatwick was the flight actually headed to. As it crashed, the flight took off from runway number 23 at 1:38 p.m. local time. 230 passengers were on board, 12 crew members included. 169 out of these were Indians, 53 were British, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian national was on board. A mayday call was issued shortly after takeoff, which was, of course, not responded. The flight soon after crashed into a medical hostel building. So what happened mid-air also? Initial data from flight Air India 171 shows that the aircraft reached a maximum barometric altitude of 625 feet. The airport altitude is about 200 feet. Minutes after making this mayday call, the Air India flight started to descend rapidly with a vertical speed of minus 475 feet per minute. And this is that moment of the crash, the plane that quickly descended into the residential area. Let's also take you through that entire footage. As it shows, this rapid descent is what has caught the attention of several aviation experts. As you can see, that the plane had not even reached its complete altitude, which is rather shocking for a commercial air flight. The blaze also soon after erupted, and it was a catastrophic blaze that took place. As you can see, this is in fact the entire debris and the crash site with the debris and the fuel catching fire, gutting several buildings. As you can see, the smoke continues to bellow out, and those are the gutted buildings in the background. Parts of the plane crashed into nearby residential areas, wrecking several buildings, as you can see. And it is the medical students from these buildings that are still struggling for life. Many of them are also being reported dead. But what has caught the attention of the viewers is the nose of the aircraft, which is stuck inside the building. Plane parts destroyed several buildings near the crash site. The parts of the fuselage and engines were cut into several buildings, as you can see. The teams soon after kicked into action. All these emergency teams were activated. They were working round the clock, even as we speak, to douse the flames at the crash site and the nearby buildings. This is one of the deadliest Boeing crashes. Remember, if we look at the cases across the globe, let me give you a quick recap of what happened in December of 2024. Jeju air crash happened in South Korea. It was a Boeing 737-800. What was the reason? It overshot the runway post-emergency landing. What was the death toll like? 179 people of the 181 which were on board were all killed. Let's now quickly rewind to 2019 March, and Ethiopian Airlines, again a Boeing 737 MAX 8. What was the reason? It crashed post-takeoff from Addis Ababa, led to a death toll of 157 passengers and crew members, all of them killed. In October of 2018, the Lion Air Flight 610 in Indonesia crashed. It was a Boeing 737 MAX 8. The reason that was given that time was that it crashed into the ocean soon after takeoff. All 189 on board were killed. If we look at Air India crashes at home, especially in August of 2020, Air India Express flight 1344 killed 184 passengers, 6 crew members, and the reason given was that it overshot the runway during the landing. The death toll was 21 fatalities, and the conclusion that was drawn, in fact, was that there was a non-adherence to the SOPs by the pilot. Now, in May of 2010, in Mangaluru, the Air India Express flight 812 killed 160 passengers and 6 crew members that were on board. The reason that was given was that it overshot the runway, fell into a gorge, and led to the death toll of 152 fatalities. The deduction was that the captain failed to discontinue the plane. And so the Ahmedabad air disaster is the deadliest crash in Indian aviation. It has, of course, prompted several unanswered questions. Let me bring those questions forward to you. The first most burgeoning question that begs our attention is, was there a technical issue detected a day before the flight that was perhaps missed out on? The other question that also is being raised is, what prompted the pilot to issue the SOS within 5 minutes of the takeoff? Can foul play angle be even ruled out by the authorities? Will all Boeing 787 planes now be put under scanner following this deadly air crash in Ahmedabad today? Will the black box unlock the mystery behind the plane crash? These are all the host of questions that people are still looking for answers for. Now, we are also getting in some breaking inputs right now. Sources from the Ahmedabad police have gone on to say that one survivor has been rescued out of that entire plane crash that happened. So far, only one survivor. Almost a miraculous incident that there's one survivor who has been rescued. The confirmation coming in from Ahmedabad police as we speak. This, remember, so far is a lone survivor who was sitting on seat 11A. Payal Mehta joins me with more inputs. Payal, share the details with us.
Well, what we're given to understand is that there is possibly one survivor. That is at least what the authorities are confirming. So that was actually at least some glint, of hope in this entire otherwise dismal affair that was only seen. That 11A is a survivor that the police has really come out and said, and that is actually no less than a miracle. Given the fact that we're almost confirmed that most of the passengers are feared to be dead. In this, including the building against which it crashed, where doctors were eating lunch during the lunch hour as well. This is tragic beyond, beyond one's imagination, but at least one faint glint of hope. And that survivor actually must be a real survivor to survive this entire crash where everybody around him is feared to be dead. Akansha.
Also, Payal, what are you learning in terms of the condition of this survivor? How seriously or gravely is he injured, and are there any hopes of him? All right, we seem to have lost that connection with Payal, but what we can tell you is this is almost a miracle that we have a lone survivor from that plane crash. And remember, many of them or almost all of them have been declared dead, but the Ahmedabad police confirming that one person has miraculously survived, and perhaps this survivor could be of extreme importance to the entire investigation, which will now be looking into what exactly led to that deadly air crash. Payal Mehta is back with us. Payal, if you could share details with us with regards to what is the condition of this lone survivor.
Well, the condition has certainly been ascertained, and no doubt whatsoever, Akansha, that person must have really, got grievous injuries, to say the least, given the fact that everything around him is charged. One has to remember that the flight was full completely. It was full to its capacity, and also the fact that the flight was just taking off, which clearly meant that even fuel-wise, the flight would have been completely full to the brim, and therefore everything around them is really charged. The Ahmedabad police is still trying to ascertain his exact health condition. But, like I said, in a place where actually everything seems to be so glum, at least there's this faint hint of some sort of a hope coming out that life knows how to survive.
Absolutely. Also, now that we have a lone survivor, Payal, share with us how crucial and pivotal could be this survival, in fact, for the entire ongoing investigation. As we also heard what the Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Rammohan Naidu, had to say, that they will get to the bottom of what exactly led to this crash.
Of course, it's going to be of great help to see when he or she is able to recover and be able to share what he or she went through, in the entire flight, depending completely on his health condition, what he's able to recall. But at least one thing is for sure, at least one family will have some smile on their face when everybody around them are completely heartbroken and just fallen, given the fact that every of their loved ones have, fallen prey to this ghastly attack, ghastly crash which has taken place as well. But like I said, it is going to be certainly a very important piece of evidence coming to the fore. He's an eyewitness who was on that flight. He will be able to, in fact, recall and tell the police officials what really happened. Because I'm sure before, the ATC was connected, the pilot must have also alerted the passengers within the aircraft as to what was really happening. It was all this happened within a matter of 60 seconds is what we've been able to fathom and we've been able to gather as well. So his testimony will be of great importance as far as that's concerned. But purely depends on what his health condition is and when and how much is he able to recall.
All right, so what we are also learning that the survivor's name is Vishwa Kumar, and the Ahmedabad police have in fact gone on to confirm that he has been rescued. He's a lone survivor from this crash. Of course, it is a miracle that he has survived. In fact, this is footage coming in of the survivor, Mr. Ramesh, as you can see, as he walks out, almost surviving for him, of course, has been a miracle. That is something what we can tell you for sure. And as Payal was also highlighting, he's going to be very pivotal. His testimony is going to be very pivotal with regards to the ongoing investigation. As Rammohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, has already confirmed that they will get to the bottom of this entire probe to find out what exactly led to this crash. It's a miracle that this lone survivor is in fact even able to walk out of that crash site at a time when most of the survivors, all of the survivors have been declared dead. But Ahmedabad police over there confirming that this lone survivor who was on seat number 11A survived. This is perhaps going to go down in the annals of history as this lone survivor walks out of the Ahmedabad airport. He is, remember, the only lone survivor in a flight that was carrying over 230 passengers. His name is Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who survived the plane crash. He was allotted seat number 11A. And the Ahmedabad police have finally rescued this one survivor. Remember, his testimony is going to be pivotal, extremely significant to the ongoing investigation, because nobody's been able to ascertain, with aviation experts still trying to ascertain the exact reason. The quality control behind Boeing is also now coming into the picture, as reports are indicating that there was an FAA audit last year, which was a 2-week audit into the quality checks of Boeing. But could it be a technical glitch, or could it be a bird hit or birds hitting, multiple birds hitting, or weather also could be playing a significant role. Right now, it is fairly nascent at this stage to comment into exactly what was that went behind, but perhaps it is Mr. Ramesh's testimony that will be extremely significant. Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, he's a British national, is what we are being told, and he was on the Gatwick bound flight that took off from Ahmedabad and crashed soon after takeoff. Roughly 20 minutes after takeoff is when it crashed, and it crashed into the residential building of the medical college, into the medical hostel, where several students are still grappling for life. It is a miracle, to say the least, that we have a lone survivor, Mr. Ramesh, allotted seat number 11A. He is a British national, as we are being told. He was on a visit to Gujarat and was heading back to London. Payal joins me with more inputs on this miraculous survival that's taken place. Payal, share what else are you learning from your sources?
Like I said, that this is a very, very tragic episode which has come to the fore as well. Nobody would have been prepared for an episode like this. A flight of happiness for many who are either looking to go back home or embark on a vacation or a work trip has turned into an extreme tragedy. The testimony of the lone survivor as of now is going to be of extreme importance. That is something at least what the authorities are hoping for, because, his testimony in terms of what really led to the circumstances that actually happened is going to be of great importance. We'll have to just wait and see. But like I said, all hands on deck approach being applied by the government of India over here. In terms of what we've seen so far, multiple leaders, multiple ministers being flown down to Gujarat. C.R. Patil, the Union Minister of Jal Shakti, and also, the state president of BJP has just reached Gujarat. He, in fact, gave us the unfortunate confirmation of Vijay Rupani's unfortunate demise over here. Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu can be seen taking rounds of the accident site, trying to ascertain what's really happening. Muralidhar Mohal, the MOS for Civil Aviation, will also be landing shortly at around 7 o'clock, 7:30, I beg your pardon. He's going to be accompanied by officials from Ministry of Civil Aviation Secretary, and also the DGC officials, who are going to be examining the accident site and understanding how to go about the investigation. Because remember, the government of India has promised not just to the Indians and not to the victims of those people who actually fell prey to this deadly accident, but also to the foreign nationals that a thorough investigation will be done. And also the fact that Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah is a local son of the soil. He's also expected to land in Ahmedabad sometime from now. As it's just too early, I can't just predict as to what really led to the situation, whether there was a technical failure, or whether there was a human error, or whether there was any attempt to sabotage, because there were a lot of foreign nationals on this. Nothing is being ruled out from the agency so far, and should there be any sabotaging angle which emerges over here, it will be important to see if the government hands over the probe to NIA or any other investigating agency. It's just too early in the day to talk about it. We'll have to just wait for some more time.
Absolutely. In fact, stay with me, Payal, as we are also getting in more information through newspaper reports which are going on to indicate that Mr. Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who's 40-year-old and the only lone survivor of this deadly crash, has, as we can see, borne impact injuries on his chest, eyes and feet. He has received these impact injuries, but is miraculously able to walk out of that entire crash site. That is, in fact, indeed a miracle in itself. And he's also gone on to share his experience. Most importantly, he's gone on to talk about how there was a loud noise just 30 seconds after takeoff, and that is what in fact led to a crash within minutes, and the plane of course burst into flames. So this is what Vishwas has had to share, that it was only after 30 seconds of takeoff there was a loud noise, and then soon after the plane crashed. It all happened very quickly. So if one was to go by what Vishwas has had to say, this is also contradicting the other versions that have come into limelight, which are going on to indicate that it was roughly after 20 minutes of takeoff that the plane actually crashed. But Vishwas has gone on to share that only after 30 seconds there was a loud noise, and soon after the plane crashed. It all happened very quickly. But this indeed is a miracle to see Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who is a 40-year-old British national, was visiting Gujarat, has miraculously escaped this or rather survived this deadly or catastrophic air crash. This as relatives of all those who were aboard the Air India flight are currently desperately looking for their loved ones at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad as we speak. All the rest have been declared dead except from Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who's a 40-year-old, the lone survivor as he survived this deadly crash. But if you can see that image which is currently being flashed on your screens, he's of course borne injuries on his face. These are impact injuries that he's not just borne on his face but also on his chest. But what stands out is that he's able to walk out of the crash, and these impact injuries, given the catastrophic explosion that happened after the plane crashed, it's a miracle to see this lone survivor, 40-year-old Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who survived this entire crash. But as we've been highlighting, his testimony is going to be extremely pivotal to the ongoing investigation, which has now led to a host of unanswered questions. What are those unanswered questions? Well, many are wondering if it was the Boeing and the quality check that led to it. Can foul play angle be ruled out by authorities? Will all Boeing 787 planes now be put under the scanner following this deadly catastrophic crash? Was there a technical issue detected even before the flight could take off? CNN News 18 has been getting you reactions, and we've been speaking to passengers who boarded this flight earlier in the day, and they've gone on to talk about how there were technical snags because the AC in the aircraft was not working, the in-flight entertainment was not working, which is rather unusual for Air India flights. And those are the testimonies that we are learning from passengers who had boarded this flight earlier during the day. But as of now, there are a host of unanswered questions, and to pinpoint any particular factor would be fairly nascent or premature. But all those unanswered questions do call for an investigation. Will the authorities be able to find the black box? How soon will they be able to, because perhaps the black box will be able to unlock the mystery behind this entire plane crash. But what's standing out right now as we track all the latest updates for you in this unimaginable story that has emerged is that Ramesh Kumar actually managed to dodge death, had a narrow escape. In fact, that explosion that you can see is catastrophic to say the least, and he managed to actually come out absolutely unscathed. It's miraculous that he's managed to walk out of the crash site. As you can see, the least that he's borne is in fact those impact injuries on his face, on his chest. And he's a 40-year-old British national who was in fact visiting the state of Gujarat. He was on this Gatwick bound flight. He was allotted seat 11A. And according to Mr. Ramesh, there was a loud explosion, and that happened soon, 30 seconds after takeoff, and it all happened so quickly, and that is exactly what led the aircraft to nosedive and led to the crash eventually. In fact, aviation experts have also been commenting on the rapid descent of this entire crash and the entire video. But let's quickly go across to Anvit, who's been tracking the latest for us. Anvit, if you could share with us the story of this lone survivor, what is it that you're learning? If you could give us some confirmation regarding the comments that he's shared with other newspaper reports that are indicating that he said that only after 30 seconds did the aircraft crash, and there was a loud explosion before it led to that crash. Anvit, can you hear me? All right, we'll try and reconnect with Anvit, but this is the big story of the hour that has emerged out of this entire air crash. The only silver lining to this deadly catastrophic air crash, as Ramesh Kumar is the lone survivor, is a 40-year-old British national visiting the state of Gujarat. This has several families now look for their loved ones. Vishwas Ramesh, of course, survives this deadly air crash. Anvit is back with us. Anvit, what are you learning about this lone survivor of this catastrophic air crash?
One passenger so far has been identified who is the survivor, and so far we are calling him the lone survivor because no other survivor has been reportedly been safe in this flight, and this man has been identified as Vishwas Kumar Ramesh. He had been living in UK for more than 20 years, and he had come to India with his brother, and he was traveling back. They had visited Diu, and he's a 40-year-old man. He had when he was found on the spot, he was put in an ambulance and sent to medical facility. But as he recalled the incident later for the media, he mentioned that when he when the plane crashed, he was on the seat 11A, and he has said that he realized only after when the plane crashed, he found himself amid the debris that was on fire, and he said that he recalled that there were bodies all around and there were human remains all around. And he said that he was scared seeing those visuals and he was terrified. That was the moment when he was put into an ambulance and was sent to medical facility. Now, he has been marked safe. He has injuries. He certainly has injuries all over his body. There are burn marks as well, and there are injuries also. But doctors are saying that he's safe. He has been marked safe. He's out of danger right now, and he's under medical supervision. But so far, he's the only passenger actually who has been found to have survived this crash. Other than that, even though the rescue operations are still underway, it is being the debris also being looked if there would be any more people who can be sent to medical facility, or the dead who can be shifted to the boat. But so far, this person is the only survivor that we have spotted and that the agencies have spotted, and he has been marked. Vishwas Kumar Ramesh is his name. He is a 40-year-old resident who is a British national by nationality, and he had come here with his brother. He was traveling back to London when this incident took place.
Many thanks to you, Anvit, for bringing us those latest inputs. In fact, in the studio, we are also joined in by Captain Kishore Chinta, who is the chief pilot of the Sirius India Airlines Private Limited. Many thanks to you, sir, for joining in. Captain Chinta, what do you make of this miraculous survival? Also, how crucial and pivotal could this testimony be now of Mr. Ramesh to the entire investigation?
Good evening. Thank you for having me on CNN News 18. It is indeed practically grabbing life out of the jaws of death for the survivor. It is indeed miraculous that he survived the crash, considering that the aircraft would have probably had 50 to 60 tons of fuel when it impacted the ground, and that kind of fuel would probably just wipe out everything in the vicinity after the crash. So the testimony is pretty understandable. It is well known from the data available from the Flight Radar 24 ADSB data, which is not very accurate, but gives us a sense of the timing of how much time the aircraft was up in the air. It was definitely not a immediate loss of power. The fact that it happened beyond a speed of V1, beyond which the pilots were compelled to continue with the takeoff, and that it gained an altitude of close to 625 feet as on flight radar. So it had enough power to at least gain that much amount of height before it appears to be total loss of power, and the aircraft slowly started coming down in a controlled manner. The pilots wouldn't have had anything.
That's exactly the point I want to come in on, Captain, because remember, as you quoted, that Flight Radar has attributed the altitude of just 625 feet after takeoff, which is a height far below standard for a commercial aircraft several minutes into it. I think for the benefit of all our viewers, it is important to break down why this low altitude could have had a role to play. All right, and before we take that answer from you, in fact, fresh visuals coming in on CNN News 18 after the Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu. What we can tell you is that the Home Minister Amit Shah has arrived. Remember, this is also his home state. He's here to inspect the entire site, and as you can see, the debris is still scattered, all of it completely charred. It's a very dark day for the entire nation because the country has also lost the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Vijay Rupani, and those visuals coming in as the Union Home Minister, Shri Amit Shah, inspects the crash site. Remember, this is where the Air India aircraft crashed minutes after takeoff, and it is the hostel or the residential building of a medical college. many of those medical students are still struggling for life. The Home Minister also accompanied by the Gujarat Chief Minister. In fact, he is standing right next to the building where it is the nose of the aircraft that's still stuck, and the Union Home Minister actually inspecting. So, Captain Chinta, please go ahead and tell us why the low altitude could have had a role to play.
Well, the mere fact that it reached that altitude is testimony that those engines are powerful enough, even at partial power, to propel the aircraft to that altitude at least. Because if there was total loss of power, it wouldn't have even reached that altitude after takeoff. So the reasons can be multitude. It could be probably a burdette leading to portions of the engine shearing off and entering the rest of the engine clear, causing complete shutdown of the engines. So right now, until the, like you mentioned, until the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder are found and downloaded by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, we will not come to know the actual picture on when actually the engine started winding down. So the height definitely is critical. Probably if they had a couple of 100 feet more, they would have crossed that one sole building and maybe impacted the ground in more clearer area, leading to chances of more survivors compared to what we have right now.
All right, let me also introduce the other guests joining us. I'm joined in by Captain Ehsan Khalid, who's a veteran pilot and currently flying as captain of Gulfstream 650 aircraft. Also joined in by Commodore B.S. Sivach, who's the ex-DG and an aviation safety expert. Mr. Anand Ranganathan, renowned author. Thank you for joining in. Anand, if I could come to you, what is your assessment of the lone survivor, first of all, who's in fact walked out completely unscathed? It's rather shocking to see him walking out at a time when the loved ones are looking for their family members who could have been on that flight.
Good evening, Akanksha. On this terrible hour, my sincere condolences to the families of the bereaved. It's such a tragedy. I think we all feel exactly how each one of those families of 242 on the plane and so many other who were doctors and medical students were in the building where the plane crashed into. My sincere condolences. It's an absolutely ghastly event that has taken place. 3 points I'd like to make. Number one, of course, it is too early to even discuss about the possibilities of what caused the